I didn't quite trust him then, and I don't trust him now. I don't know what he's going to do. And India will become the second largest economy of the world, overtaking the United States in 10 or 15 years. It will become probably the largest economy in the world in the second half of the 21st century.
The one and only unapologetic, candid Jeffrey Sachs has just came out with a shocking announcement that India will be overtaking the United States as the second largest global economic power in the world within the next 10 to 15 years. You must be watching our channel, right? You think he's watching our channel? Because we've been saying this exact same thing for like a year and a half now, since last year, and it's clearly looking like our prophetic visions and common sense discernment was spot on. But now, Sachs is echoing the message, and it just went forth in a much broader bandwidth to millions of more people, and of course in a much more grandeur and copacetically polished plethora of words, and is always well-tailored in dry-clean suits. I mean, at least he's not some punk out there with his hat on backwards declaring the future of major world events, right? But he is calling it like he sees it, and right now, who can't see it? This is inevitable. But is he giving India good advice or not so good advice? Or both? I mean, personally, I think Jay Shankar has a much better grip on things as far as moving forward and how to play it goes. But what do I know, right? Nonetheless, we're going to find that out right now, ladies and gentlemen, as we together learn, relate, and communicate our ideas and thoughts together in unity as a multipolar world with a clear vision and direction of peace, love, and pursuit of happiness for all. That's our modus operandi. So please like, subscribe, and we also appreciate input whenever you feel the urge to drop something down below in the comments. So let's do this, shall we? Everyone grab a drink and let's go over this together and be the melting pot of ideas and thoughts and stuff in the comments below, please. She's the heck killer, he.
What's actually going on in Washington? If you ask me, I will tell you the succinct answer. Nobody knows. You should understand, how does one person change the whole world trade system? It wasn't a vote of Congress. It wasn't even a discussion in Congress. It wasn't a public debate. It was literally an executive order. The President of the United States declared an emergency. This is what we had a revolution about back in 1776, by the way. So he calls our trade deficit an emergency. Well, no. It's been around for 20-some years. It's got deep economic causes. It's not exactly an emergency. That these actions are illegal, which they plainly are, by the way. They will create worldwide turmoil, but they're absolutely illegal. That the right to levy duties belongs only to Congress, not to the President, which is in Article 2 of our Constitution. I didn't quite trust him then, and I don't trust him now. I don't know what he's going to do.
And the joke on social media is that if the US saw what was happening in the US would invade the US to save it from itself. Would you say that America today is a backsliding democracy?
We once had a little joke that said, why is the US the only country that never had a coup? And the answer is because it doesn't have an American embassy. And India will become the second largest economy of the world, overtaking the United States in 10 or 15 years. It will become probably the largest economy in the world in the second half of the 21st century. The neurosis is that the United States expected to be number one forever. China ruptured that illusion, so Americans hate China. And they will come to resent India, I'm sorry to tell you, as you overtake the United States too. Just a little secret. My advice is be friendly with China and say to China, you must admit us as, you must vote now that we become the 6th permanent member of the UN Security Council. How can we have a Security Council without India being a permanent member? It makes no sense at all. We need a multipolar world. We're way past the United States leading anything, okay? To be an enemy of the United States is dangerous, but to be a friend is fatal. If Taiwan thinks that the United States is going to save Taiwan from China, oh my God, truly God help us. But Taiwan is part of China. If you listen to the U.S., there's only one side ever, because it's propaganda, it's narrative. The U.S. wants to use India, clearly. It wants to use India to beat up China. Don't play the American game. That's my only advice to you.
The advice is well taken. Maybe India also wants to beat up China, but on its own terms. And when there was pressure from the West a couple of years back vis-a-vis Ukraine, India stood its ground. So one is reasonably confident that India will play this on its own terms.
You know, I just got to break in here for 1 second, then I'm going to let it ride out. I love how she just broke in on that conversation and said, you know what, Sachs, you know, we have our issues with China too. I think we're going to handle that our way. I mean, don't try to buddy us up with China. We have had a history with them, and we're not going to let the Americans, we're going to deal with that on our own terms. I just love, dude, I love that. I think that was like, dude, the way she just stood up for India right there, just said, well, hold on, that don't cross the line here. India's got this. Anyway, let me know what you think about that. I just love her, the way she did that. She's amazing.
What's actually going on in Washington? Nobody knows. For the first time in American history, we are in a one-man show right now.
Professor Sachs, if I could
Yes.
come in here. This is the one man that you keep referring to was a man chosen by the Americans.
So Sachs is right about many things that we know, but we saw how China was able to take such a prominent role in global dominance in the world. And I'd have to say that they didn't veer away from economic endeavors with the United States, but they did steer clear ever of becoming an ally with them. And Sachs, like many people, has really been known to follow the trends in politics. One week he praises Trump when he sees an uptick in support, and the next week he calls him a dictator. For example, just after the election, when Trump was a trendy goodness of social media, Sachs had this to say about him on Tucker Carlson.
But the most important question facing us is a country that potentially is more secure than any country in the history of the world going to do itself in by a self-provoked World War III? And we're on that course. And 5 presidents have been on that course through their incompetence and their obedience to an unaccountable deep state. And President Trump is coming in saying that he's going to change direction. By the way, I think the greatest thing that could happen is 4 Nobel Peace Prizes for President Trump. I'd give him 4 Nobel Peace Prizes for that. If he chooses that direction, he'll be the most consequential president in our modern history, perhaps in our history, because he will reestablish security for the American people. I think that President Trump wants to do it this way. We could be the safest people in the world in history. No one could conceivably attack us. And yet we're 90 seconds to midnight.
Do you have any expectation that will change?
I'm counting on President Trump to change this. I think his instinct is right. I think his sense is right. This is the best thing we have going for us. Now, in his first term, he hired a lot of very irresponsible people. And if we continue on that course, Trump will fail and the United States will be gravely endangered. And if he reverses that course, he stands to be a great and historic president.
So which one is it, Jeffrey? Is it the great historic president, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, or...
Nobody knows.
But as far as India being the number 2 power in the world, yeah, I clearly see that.
I didn't quite trust him then, and I don't trust him now. I don't know what he's going to do.
See what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying about that. I need to know what you think. And being like a little rowboat in an ocean being tossed to and fro by the waves of media manipulation in short-term goals, it's honestly why I see Modi and Jay Shankar as like the perfect captains who are steering this great big ship with precise navigation as opposed to frequent U-turns here and there. India is definitely on the steady course of stability, and I wouldn't want to deviate from that course because the targeted area and final outcome looks like it's within the telescope of the people in India. And having Sachs on board that boat when there's a little leak and he's jumping out and throwing life preservers wouldn't really be the guy that I'd want in the boat with me. I would want Modi and Jay Shankar, who are saying, hey, just hold that leak down. We're going to keep going forward. We're going to keep on driving this boat in that direction because we can see our destination right ahead. So just put a plug in it right now and then continue going. Whereas somebody's off the boat, swimming and paddling again, Jay Shankar and Modi, not so much. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, please, I hope you all enjoyed this. I want to give my hats off to India. Great job over there. Continue that work. Keep moving. Keep doing what you're doing. And I want to thank you all for watching. God is good. One love. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.